everything comes, I could put in my wishes to her so that she could see that we are all with her. It's just an amazing thing. And it's not easy though, but to have a life, some people have short life, others have, you know, others have long life, but with a whole lot of issues behind them physically. So,
Yeah. What about yourself though? Are you good to go?
oh yeah, 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 yeah. I'm good.
Yeah, because I heard some crazy news. I don't know if it's in Uganda or if it's in Ghana or if it's in one of the you know
What, what news?
what's going on with this new law that they put in place. I know this I know it's not has nothing to do with what we're about to discuss, but um, I just heard they put a new law in for the LGBTQ.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true. It's Uganda. It's Uganda. Is that is Uganda is in the eastern part of Africa,
So I would
northeast of Africa, yeah, northeast, eastern part of Africa. So they have been having issues with it, and you could reason with them because the government is like the government were listening to the masses of the people, and the masses of the people were not too much interested in such culture into their livelihood. So it sort of made the job for the government easier because the government there knows that if they did anything contrary to what the people like, they might have some sort of chaos out there. So most of Ugandans are approving of that. They are happy with that, and most of African countries too are also glued to it. So, but the funny part of it is that America will stop giving them aid. Why should
man, we're gonna have to get you a better camera, man. What's going on over there?
oh,
All
you're
right,
shaking your head.
all right, it's crazy, it's
So
crazy. So
aid they ain't going to receive aid anymore because of the action that they took. But I I I don't know. Is I don't know how people seems to have problem with a country deciding something for themselves if they believe that it is what benefits them. Because you might disagree with their decision, but at the end of the day, you have to respect their sovereignty as a nation. But you know what? When somebody gives you money, when they gives you money, definitely to somehow interfere in your life. So when America gives money or aid to African countries, they will definitely interfere with their lives. So it's kind of normal to see such situation coming up, but it's unfortunate though. It's unfortunate.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's true. It's coming from Uganda.
All right, so we're gonna kick off this live stream. We do have a special
Apart
guest.
from that, you've not heard anything about any news.
It
Only about that one.
um no, no, no. This I mean, there's always news, man, all over social media, right? And
Yeah,
sometimes I see you post out there, so I'm like, okay.
yeah.
So it's 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 pretty much I would say it's the same. It's the same across the board, man. There's always something, uh, in the news about anything and everything, and the United States is not one of those countries, that's out in the pasture or out in the green zone with the beautiful flowers and et cetera, et cetera. So we do have our issues as well. So
Well, it will amaze you that a lot of like African folks knows more about America than Americans know much about other nations. I don't know whether you've heard about that or you've come across somebody well said that to you before.
nah, this is the first time.
Yes, it you it will amaze you. So as I'm speaking to you, I know a little bit that I'm not too much a professor, but I know a little bit about something like the drug issues and the homelessness. When you come to Africa, particularly for hours, you don't have homelessness. There's nothing like homelessness. People are poor, but somehow you don't find people being homeless
Mm,
like how it is in America. And you don't find people getting themselves into such chaos with all sorts of issues. And it, it, it amazes me that people in America are always on guard whenever they are outdoors. Like, whenever they are outdoors, they are scared of getting harmed by someone or getting jacked by someone. But I can assure you, although there is crime here, but people can go around do about their daily lives and everything and not put that kind of thought in their mind that, hey, wherever I'm going, I have to be careful where I'm going. So most of people here, they are like they are not security conscious because it's not part and parcel of their life because it doesn't happen often. But in America, it seems like wherever you are going, you have to be careful where you go. You have to know where you are. And I was told that in America they have an app. The app alerts you when there's some trouble shoot out somewhere. It alerts you to know that there's a trouble from somewhere, whether you are getting close to it, that lets you to know that there's trouble there. I don't know whether it's true though, but that's what I've heard. That they have an app. It alerts you whether there's trouble, traffic, something going around. So it alerts you from you preventing yourself from doing certain things or getting to that danger. And as you said, so everybody with its issues, but Africa has always had that kind of stigma. So we all know it. Stigma is in terms of people believing that there's war in Africa, there's war, there's killing, the people out there are suffering with food, there's no food. When you go to Bloomberg and other news outlets like Reuters, they are creating some sort of news out there, spreading falsehood because you are supposed to have a standard, you have a reputation to bring on board, but you spread like, oh, there's cholera outbreak in Africa. But Africa is very huge. Africa is three times bigger than the United States. But when you watch the world map, you see United States is bigger than Africa. You could check it and confirm it yourself and see. You could Google it and check it yourself.
well, there's a lot there's a lot going on in the world today. You know,
Absolutely.
um, if you happen to sit down and it's kind of hard to take it all in, right? Due to the global identity crisis that we're going through. Some of um, the things that you just mentioned, and I don't know. It's people are changing. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's
I think
something in the food.
it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen. That's what I see. It's supposed to happen because it has been written on in the Bible. If you read your Bible that much, you see that when time comes, people will start bringing up, some sort of believing that they are wiser, they know more, but in the eyes of God, it is stupidity. It is rag, rag talk. It is foolishness. But in the eyes of men, it is a wise talk. Sometimes this identity crisis, when you hear it, and you kind of hear you know, the dialogue or the discussion people have, it's like, oh, it has been confirmed that you have biological and gender is different. In which way? You see, this is what happens when, books, certain people who have passed through certain life have gotten an opportunity. They bring out their own philosophy and people buy into it. These people have been saying that there is no God. We have aliens. You know, aliens. Yet America has been spreading this news out there that there are other species out there who are very smarter than any human race. But how can, imagine, how can it, even as a child, if you are born into this world, you will never know who your father and your mother are until they play a role in your life, until you see them. You don't come into this world knowing beforehand that these are your mother and father. You have to pass through a process, and that process has to be followed step by step. So, how can a scientist determine that? You've not seen the species, but you can determine the years of the life of a species because you've not lived that long. How can you know? You cannot know. How can you know the lifespan of another species you've not seen before? It's like, example, telling somebody that the sea, the sea is 1 million or 1 billion years old. How do you know? Because the sea was there before you were born. How can you determine how the sea is 1 million or 1 billion years old when you yourself didn't create it? Even when you have a TV, you have a laptop, you have a blueprint, you are the maker, what a TV lifespan is because you are the creator of it. So you can know within 5 years or 10 years, this laptop or this TV or this computer will start, will lose its strength. But you are not the one determining how a mountain and a tree and a sea could last for billions of years. And people accept that from scientists, and they tell you when you go into it, they tell you it is only theories. You see the digression? They tell you it is only theories, it's theoretical. Then they are using the academical reach of their level to influence people, and people are believing it because they have been put in place in such a way that they are doctors, they are professors, they've gone to school, so you have to accept it. But God has given you the brain for you to also have your own observation, have your own thought, have your own thinking, and see whether what these people are saying is there fact in it. Does it actually make sense for you to go ahead and say yes, it is so? When we were in school, they told us that there are 9 planets. Now it's changed. Pluto is no more a planet. They said Pluto is no more a planet. I don't know whether you've heard about that. But when I went to school, I was told that Pluto was a planet. So if I learn this and I die and go, I will stand before God and challenge God. God, I know that Pluto existed is 9 planets, and somebody will come and say, no, it's not 9, it's 8, or you see how the world is, and they tell you, oh, it's facts. Facts can always be,
Yeah,
challenged.
yeah, and it's always interesting that man, will come out and say, if you're sitting in front of your TV, right,
Yeah.
and you're watching the news, and they're like, oh, wine is healthy for you, right, and then they go through the whole caveat of it, and then months later they come back, oh, wine is not good for you. I'm like, okay,
Absolutely.
is it good for me or is it not? Because I got a big bottle over here, right? And I'm about to pour a glass and I'm about to drink some wine. So is it healthy for me or is it not? So I understand where you're coming from, and you have to understand that it's not about the country. It's not the country. The country has no way of thinking, no feeling at all. It's man that's speaking these things, So I definitely understand when you sit down and like when you listen to someone like Neil, I think that's his name, Tyson, whatever his name is. I don't pay attention to him too much,
I know. I know.
but
The scientist,
yeah,
he talks about the aliens and everything.
yeah. So so sometimes I will come across some of his videos, and I try to steer away from that stuff because my brain gets scrambled, and I'm starting to think like, okay, so I don't want to be stuck in that realm. Like, man, I'm overthinking, or I'm thinking, I'm like, hey, and it drives me crazy. So I try my best to stay away from it. But I definitely understand because the conversation has been had many, many, many times. All of us had the conversation. Like, okay, you got man saying, oh, man is 2,000 years old. Why are you guys still stuck on that number? Right? 2002. Now, I know we're supposed to be talking about the ABK deal. And we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Hey, D Nice, welcome to the stream. He's in the chat.
Oh,
Yep. So we got,
will be online.
yeah, we're online, man. We're online.
Oh,
And this is good because this is it doesn't have to be about the whole ABK deal. We could chit chat about anything and everything, and that's what this podcast is for. And and I definitely understand where you're coming from. So, man, it's difficult, to eternalize it all, right? When you say, okay, dinosaurs has been here for millions and millions and millions of years, so they have the resources to determine that, those time frames, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then later on, you hear some changes, right? Like, wait a minute, okay? And then you find a new human species. I'm like, wait a minute, how long did that human, was that human here? This is crazy. So I try my best to steer away from it as much as I can, because you can get caught up in it, and it sucks. It sucks because man has a tendency to plant seeds in the mind of people, and
and
then
especially the vulnerable, which are children.
children, yes, and then and a good example that you brought up earlier was the nine planets, right? So now Pluto is just a rock, just floating out in space, I guess. So when you're learning that Christopher Columbus discovered America, and then you find out later he didn't, now we got a problem. I'm like, well, I grew up. I mean, they taught me this in school. This is insane. So did he discover America or did he not? So when we found out the truth about that, I'm like, well, I don't even know if that's the truth or not. You know?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's really hard to take a lot of stuff at face value nowadays because it's become so convoluted. Um, you just have to look at it for what it is, and then you make the decision whether you want to believe it or not. You know,
Absolutely.
and it sucks. Um,
And it does. And the unfortunate thing too is people want to push it in your face. They want to push it in your face. It's like, hey, it's either you take it or nothing, without giving you the opportunity to have that sort of discussion and point out your view. It's like, hey, this is it. What do you know? You're just a nobody making an assumption. But here is another academician also making an assumption. But you see how they deflect the issue. You are nobody making an assumption, but academician who is making an assumption is more intelligent than you. So his assumption can be qualified and accepted as, you know, brilliant, you know, intelligent, and what have you.
well, I'll tell you this. You can put together a bouquet of words to make it sound good, to make it sound important. Because I can honestly tell you, um, I did a social experiment a long time ago, and
Okay.
where we sat in class and we listened to this guy ramble on about you know this and this and this and that, and there was a lot of big words that came out of that conversation. I mean that dialogue, and so I was asking some of the students that was in the class. I was like, "Did you understand anything?" Oh no, it sounded good. It sounded like it could be true, and it was like, "Nah, I didn't." Then I was like, "Well, he said this. Do you know what that means?" No. So I was like, "Okay." So
Wow.
this is what I'm talking about because it's like artificial
Yeah.
acceptance, right? So you listening at what you're listening at, and then you're either going with the flow or you're accepting it, and then you're like, okay, well, let me take that seed and keep it here and this, you know, and take it as true. Um, with me, I'm gonna have to be honest with you. You're gonna have to provide me facts.
No.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm like the doubting Thomas. Okay,
No.
I am a big doubting Thomas. If you cannot provide me proof,
Yeah.
no, no. So you think? I mean, okay. Think about this. So America, I guess America has this big telescope. They can see way, way, way out in space. Oh, you got all these super planets and everything. Blah 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 blah. No, you can write a news story all day. I don't care. Show me proof, right?
Yeah.
Let me go and look through this telescope and see what's out there, right? See if there's any aliens out there. I don't. You see, that's just me though. A lot of this stuff, I just like I just ignore because
Yeah.
none of it makes sense, and there's always going to be some
No.
changes. There's always going to be something new. You never know. 2 weeks from now, you wake up and you hear something new about um, there was a spacecraft flying around or whatever. I'm like, why now? I'm like, this is garbage. This is straight trash.
Really.
Um, but we're gonna detour for that,
All right.
and we are going because I don't want to hold you too late, and I know it's
Oh,
what almost 2 o'clock in the morning.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm going to take my own rest when I'm done. So,
So
I have a lot of rest.
so the ABK deal
Yes.
and where it stands right now. Now I have to say, man, man, this has been good publicity ever since it first started up till now. And I'm gonna have to be honest with you. You know, it was to me. I look at it like a double-edged sword here, right? And let me share with you what I mean by that. Um, it's like you have these two different sides, and they're like, okay, well, if Microsoft gets this deal, then they're looked at as far as monopolizing the industry, right? Or they're setting the precedents now. Now this company has been buying up publishers for quite some time, so we all know that, right?
Yes.
Um, I'm gonna be honest from the start. I didn't see any big deal with this whole APK deal. I didn't see anything that would put Sony in a bind or would not be able
Yes.
to compete at all.
Yes.
And with Call of Duty being um, the top news at this time, man, I can't even talk. Being the topic of discussion for most of it, I didn't understand why, right? So I'm like,
Yes.
Call of Duty is a shooter. Okay, I mean, there's plenty of shooters out there. Sony has a lot of, shooter IPs. So why would they? I just didn't get it, right? I'm like, how is one game funding your first party IPs? When I heard that, I was like, that makes no logical sense to me, right?
Absolutely.
So you mean to tell me that Call of Duty this whole time has been funding your gaming segment? That doesn't make sense. Just one game. It just not plant right. It just I mean this is all rock, right? So when that
Yes.
seed fell out the sky and it just bing 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 and just fell off. So I really didn't understand the logic behind that. So
I think I did. I did because from Sony's point of view, if you have, because when, if you quite remember, Microsoft came in and said
devs,
they
good,
are
good, good devs.
competing. They are not competing with Sony, but they are competing with Google and Apple. I don't know whether when they first came out. So that point, and people seems to forget that Sony didn't come out initially to stop the deals. It was the sentiment of people on Twitter and social media who, you know, psyched Sony to go for it because it was all over the place. Microsoft is monopolizing the gaming industry, is trying to destroy, and Sony thought, hey, if the people are calling, let's rely on the sympathy of the people and just block because you could see they did not have any strategy towards it. They just go along with it. So they had no plan in how to execute it. They had no beginning and end. They just went in with the sympathy of the people. That's why this deal fell through. Because if they had and they knew what they were about and decided from themselves from the beginning and not listen to the people out there who were crazy about the issue with monopoly and everything, they would have thought of it quite well and planned towards it before, you know, entering into that arena. But it seems that they just, they had no plan. It was always about to block it. And when they did, they forgot that, man, we have been also doing it in our own small way. But here is somebody who comes in with his big wallet, trying to, you know, people don't know. Yesterday I said something on the chat. I said Sony is richer than Microsoft, and Loco was was in disagreement with that. He said no, it's not true. And my reason was that Microsoft only deals in software. Microsoft hardly does anything hardware. It's only always about third party. But Sony always does its own PlayStation. It has its own manufacturing. But Microsoft doesn't have that. If Microsoft wants to build an Xbox, it goes to China. But Sony will build its own PlayStation from its own factory. And Sony has a lot of products, hardware products with a lot of human resources. But people are just looking at the money that is coming out because Microsoft is not venturing in other stuff. So people do not know that Sony is into marketing. They have a lot of marketing, partners around. But people do not know. All they know is about the phone, the laptop, but they have a lot of products. So if Sony was supposed to invest in one particular or two particular products, just imagine. So I was coming from that angle that Sony is quite richer than Microsoft in that department if we want to go to that angle. So from getting to anything else, from what I saw, I think if Sony were smart enough, they should have allowed the deal to go through. Because if they have allowed Microsoft to go in and did it exclusive, people would not purchase Call of Duty. They will rely, but the moment they went in and it changed, it brought another idea for Microsoft to say, no, this is even better for us. So why would you even take it away from PlayStation when we can also get something out of it? But if they had allowed them to go exclusive with it, Microsoft would have lost a lot of money. But they gave them the idea to wow, this is good for us. So we can give you. So you see how Microsoft is softening everything because they've come to realize that no, they don't mind. As long as we are getting Call of Duty, we determine the pace, we state what it is for us because at the end of the day we own it. Sony doesn't own it. And what worries Sony is the perks that they get out of Call of Duty. It is not because of Call of Duty. Call of Duty will give Sony something that is exclusive from its competitor. And that is what Sony is worried that they would not get those specs. And if they don't get those specs, it means that the playing field has been leveled. And when it becomes like that, it affects their brand. And Sony always protects their brand. They always protect their brand. Sony will not put. You see how Microsoft is so naive. They always, the showcase. It was we are launching this game in the first half of 2023. They are tarnishing their brand. Whenever you do something, it's hardly Sony will come out and say something like this. And not, they protect their brand because they know that whenever you mess up, it's, you know, they,
Hey, PE, hold your thought. Um,
all right.
420. Can you hear PE talk? Let me know in the chat. And also,
Hello, guys.
if you would like to join the conversation, let me know. You don't have to. You can jump in, join the conversation. You don't have to show your face or anything. Just let me know, and I will send you a link, and we can all sit down and chit chat about this thing, and get each other's thoughts and opinions on how it all started and what you think is going to be the final outcome.
Yes,
And
I want some response from 422, so bring his thought on it, what he thinks about it. So 420, if you are hearing me,
yeah.
please
Oh, no, no.
come on and let's have a discussion.
All right. He says right now he's in a room full of people.
Oh,
He's
all
at
right.
his in-laws, so he's not going to be able to join, and that's okay. That's okay, and that's cool.
All right.
So we kind of briefly talked off camera, about this, and at this point in time, and I mentioned this. I was like, well, if it's at a point where the ABK deal is going to go through, then Sony is going to have to hurry up and make a decision because this deal can leave them behind and be like, hey, you know what? We offered you a deal. You didn't take the deal. So, as of right now, it seems it's falling on Microsoft. Well, it's falling in Microsoft's favor right now. This whole deal. So Sony has to recognize that at this point and say, "Holy cow! We thought we may have had a fight in this, and we're actually losing that fight." So their people has got to be having that discussion. Like, okay, so what is our next step here? What do we do? And me personally, I will have to look at it from all angles, right? I have to speak with my teams and say, hey, what is the best course of action moving forward? Because if Call of Duty is this big staple title that's been bringing in a lot of revenue or profit or both to Sony, then like Jim Ryan said, they don't want to lose that, right? And if that game performs better on that platform, and and like you said, they had all these perks, everything that came with it, it performs better on PlayStation. You don't want to lose that. So I will have to sit at the table and say, hey, you know what? Let's take a look at this deal, right? Let's take a look at the deal Microsoft is offering, but also come to the table and negotiate. I'm gonna have to negotiate the contract. There's got to be more, because there's got to be something that that Sony is afraid of losing. Okay, like those perks, right? Like that exclusivity, or time exclusivity, or whatever the case may be. They're like, oh man, we don't want to lose that. So, once that deal goes through, then there's nothing that they can do, right? But at the same time, before that deal goes through, because if it goes through, Sony's out the picture. Because Microsoft can come back and say, well, we gave you the opportunity, right? We gave you the opportunity. We drew up a deal for you. We even said, hey, we'll put it in PlayStation Plus day and date, or whatever the case may be, or whatever the that piece of caveat was. And I'm like, wow, man, that's great, right? Now, if they said that, hey, we're gonna give you all the bells and whistles as well, I mean, dude, come on, right? So I'm gonna have to say, and like I said before, Microsoft can make its money back. Don't take Call of Duty from the PlayStation platform. You can make your money back. You're spending $70 billion. Sony has already laid out the case for you. They did. They said, "Hey, this is our biggest revenue getter right here." So if Microsoft is sharing that if Sony is sharing that information with you, ding 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 ding, you know what?
Yeah,
Good. We're gonna keep Call of Duty
Duty.
on PlayStation. We'll give you all the bells and whistles, right?
PlayStation Plus.
Exactly.
Like, yeah,
We'll do day and date. We'll give you that,
yeah,
and then make your money back.
absolutely.
Because now it's not just on the Sony platform. It's on your own platform. It's on Game Pass. It's on what? I'm pretty sure it's going to come to PC, right? So you can make your money back. All the other, you already dominate in the cloud space. You have other games like Diablo. Um,
Yeah.
then you have King. Oh my goodness. Wow, I still play Candy Crush. I still play it. So this is huge for Microsoft.
But it's a global thing. If you go to every continent in the world, everybody plays it. You know, wives, household wives, career, everybody, children, everybody plays it whenever they are, you know, have their free time, they will play. And to add to what you're saying, if I find it very, you know, strange how Sony handled this without, you know, looking into it well before going in. So you talk about exclusive, you talk about being sabotaged with something. Before, people never had that thought in their head. It is when Sony said that that people begin to ask questions. Why would they be thinking that? Then it's like, wow. If they are saying that, that means they probably used to do that. They used to do that kind of practice, and it also elected. You know, it's like, for example, it's like uh, you're having a girl, like a girlfriend, and you've been hearing rumors about something that like your girl is cheating, but you've not seen it with their eye, and suddenly your girl comes around and said, "You are cheating. You are cheating with somebody." Then you kind of like, wow, if you are saying it, then it means you have done it first. So it kind of like confirm it for Microsoft for kind of like, you know, hearing that kind of noise around the industry that Sony have been sabotaging them for a long time, but they cannot confirm it. But the moment Sony made that comment, then Microsoft had to inform their lobbyists because they have a lot of lobbyists out there. So they put it out to them. That's why they were advised to look into Sony's, because that statement came before the court order, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to ask the judge for Sony's document. And look at the year that they requested, 2012. 2012. They knew something was going on back then because gamers are out of we are not into it deep, but they are more into it, so they know what goes into a business, you know, in a business form. Because in business, there's you know, some sort of corporate espionage going around. People doing all sorts of things to get the first hand of something. So that sort of thing is there. So for them stating that, they should have seen it coming that no, if we make such comment, it will affect our brand. It will have people wondering the sort of you know practices we've been going around because Sony always protects its brand. That is the hallmark of Sony. Sony will protect its brand. Whenever Sony brings a product, they always bring something, you know, they don't do anything for their brand to be in dispute. They just give you perfection. So for them to go into that tangent and have people comment, it was not the best to me. And you know, people always see that Microsoft is spending, but for me, if they have allowed Microsoft to keep spending, you know, the next generation they won't have money to spend. That's what people have forgotten. They are spending on this generation, but the next generation they are waiting to recoup their money. So if they are not getting back what they've spent, look at what will happen to the studios that they purchased. It's going to be chaos out there. Studios will complain of not getting funded because money are not coming up. Sony should have allowed Microsoft to go in and done their own thing. They shouldn't have listened to any sentiment from these people out there. Because the moment they did, it just changed everything. Because now Microsoft is like, we have some sort of game that is exclusive. We have others that we can put in there and make money. So they have balanced the shit. They've balanced the equation now. So if this place is not working here, we'll recoup the money back from here. But if they have done the other side, it will have bankrupt them into the next generation. Because I'm thinking about the next generation because you cannot spend 70, almost, you are going to 100 billion of spending. And as you are purchasing, you know, there's something in business, you have to balance your shit. If you purchase studios and you are into, you know, the people that they left, you know, the cutout that they did, the 10,000 people who lost their jobs, they are preparing these 10,000 from activation to come in. It's nothing. It's just making preparation for a new phase of people who come in. My Activision Blizzard and King has about 10,000 plus people. So they have to lay off 10,000 people, exactly 10,000 people, so that they can get much of their much of Activision Blizzard workers into Microsoft payroll. So when you see it, you see that they are trying to find a makeable solution for them to balance the ship. And if you are following what they are trying to do, then you might end up not having a PlayStation 6 or the next PlayStation because you are trying to follow their suit, not knowing the future. That's why I thought Sony should have allowed and, you know, test the waters and see what is going around and allowed the waters to cool down before they act. But they just went in with the whirlwind and they just went along with what Microsoft was cooking. That was that I think didn't help them in any way. And what they have done would also bring some precedents. And that precedent would be if Sony is going to purchase another studio or publisher and make it an exclusive, then Microsoft and other companies will have their say in it. They will have their say in it because they have made that whole. They have set that, you know, kind of way for them to see that we can also challenge this for these regulators to know that we want a level playing field. We want a level playing field in the industry. Because mind you, these regulators never knew anything about gaming. All they knew was these things. Much of them, they don't know deep into it. So then, as human beings, when we are into something, as we are doing it, as we are moving along, we are learning something out of it. When you are into something, as you are doing it, you are learning as you are going. So these regulators are learning as they go. So now they've gotten something. So imagine if, as the rumors is going through Take Two, if Take Two is allowed to be bought by PlayStation, and PlayStation will not, knowing that they are the market leader, will not want to share anything with Take Two to their competitor. So they want to do it exclusive. And by doing exclusive, Microsoft and other folks can come in and say, hey, we want a level playing field. We don't need this sabotaging. Is only played on PlayStation 5. Those marketing deals that Sony does is only done. Imagine Epic, they had a marketing deal with Epic. So whatever Epic does, they will always show it on PlayStation. So these things, yes, these things would definitely come into the best fix. So Sony shouldn't have done that. Sony should have just kept quiet.
You know what? You know what? I don't mean to cut you off there, but
Okay.
I have to get you and 420 on the same stream. I have to get you both into a podcast together
I
because
will definitely love that.
because I'm gonna share with you something he said here in the chat.
Yes.
I don't know if you can read it on the screen here. Uh,
No, I can't.
can,
Unless you read it.
so okay, so you can't see the chat.
No, I can't see the chat.
Oh man, so let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I could. Um, all right, let me know if you can see the chat. Can you see it now?
No, I can't.
All right. So here's what I'm
I'm
gonna
just
do.
seeing it.
All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to share. Um, Let me see if I can share my screen.
Okay.
I'm not even sure if I can. All right. Let me see.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah,
Oh,
I can see it now.
oh no, I hear the echo.
Oh no, I hear the echo. Oh.
All right, can you still hear me?
Yes, yes, loud and clear.
All right. So, we had this thing set up really good at one point, and
Mm-hmm.
it's always something that just messing it all up, man.
It's gone back to the original face.
Hmm. All right, so it seems like it's not working. We're gonna have to test it out again some other time. I'm not sure why this echo. I've been having this issue all day today, and we finally got it fixed. So now it has haunted me again. So I'm okay.
Sorry about that.
So here's
But
what
you can read it to me.
yeah, here's what he says. He says,
All right.
he says, bro, has Microsoft brought you a server out there yet to connect with them?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Hey, 420, let me know if you can hear me, man. Let me know if you can hear me in PE.
Oh
But
my
that was
God.
hilarious.
That is savage. That.
I'm gonna read that again. I'm gonna read that one more time. He says, bro, has Microsoft brought you a server out there yet to connect with them? Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
He says,
It's coming.
do they have cloud? He said it's all love. It's all love. Um,
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's way coming. So no worries, man.
so it's so my question to you. Do you think the ABK deal is going to go through, and why?
Because from my observation, I think the CMA and the EU are the ones making a concession from Microsoft, and Microsoft is also willing to, you know, uphold with them whatever demand that they offer. It seems Microsoft has always been, you know, cooperating with them willingly. But apart from that, FTC, they are, I don't, the FTC, I think, want to show off to the whole world that they are not easily manipulated or bullied by the big boys company. But I think CMN and the UE will definitely approve the deal because I don't see anything. The ABK deal doesn't constitute anything like monopoly because it is an IP. It is not. It is an IP. It is nothing else. IP is a property, and that property can lose its value at any point in time. Before Call of Duty, Battlefield used to be the big gun. If you go everywhere, Battlefield is played everywhere because they used to have online. But the next generation Call of Duty came in and they were like big. So for people to believe that it is a monopoly, now CMA and EU have come to realize that there is nothing monopoly about this deal, and their mind has been shifted only one IP, which is Call of Duty. But they've forgotten about the remaining ones because the remaining ones does not have much, importance to Sony. But to me, I think people need to look at it and say to themselves that what is monopoly? For me, monopoly is not just about buying publishers. Microsoft can buy EA, they can buy Ubisoft, and yet it will not be a monopoly because they are not competing with EA, they are not competing with Ubisoft in the market.
Right.
Yeah, they are not competing with them. If Microsoft comes in and buys PlayStation, that is monopoly because when they buy PlayStation, they control the market. That is monopoly. If they buy Valve or go into stream, they control the market from there because they are not so huge in the PC market. So the moment they go into BAO, they are controlling the market. So that is a monopoly. The moment they purchase PlayStation, that is a monopoly because they have control. They can decide the sort of prices they increase because PlayStation is not there to compete. But you cannot go in and say Ubisoft, EA, and other publishers are purchased and it's monopolized. It's not done in that way. Imagine if, what like, do you have any oil companies in America? Like, give me two, the biggest two in America.
Two big companies in America.
The biggest oil company in
O-
America.
oil company.
Oil. Yes.
Hmm. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to research that. Hmm.
BP. Say BP and Shell.
Are you talking about
The
like
BP and Shell.
because I'm thinking one could be hold on. One could be like BP.
Yeah.
Big oil companies in America. In America? Because we I don't think those companies are those companies in America? I don't even think those are American companies, are they? Like
Oh,
BP.
I'm not.
Um.
I don't mean American companies, but companies that are huge in oil
Oh,
company. I
huge.
just want to.
Got you.
Yeah.
I was thinking Exxon maybe
Yeah. Exxon.
might be
Yeah.
one. So let's go with
So
BP. Let's go with BP and
let's go with
Exxon.
BP and Exxon.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Imagine BP is the majority market leader and Exxon is the second to it. Then you have Shell coming in, and Shell is, you know, part of the industry with the oil companies. But Shell is just, the baby in the game. And sadly, Shell gets a huge amount of money coming in, flowing in. So for Shell to compete, they are not going out to purchase Exxon or BP, but they are going out to countries that drill oil. You get my, you see? But the moment Shell goes after BP, who is the market share of that, industry, it means that they are trying to be monopoly. That is how you justify monopoly, but not on buying something that are not competing with the other people. So when people were referencing that, I knew it wouldn't fly, and that I was so sure that the ABK deal would definitely be approved. But I'm worried with the FTC. It's like the FTC are not so sure about what they are doing. They're just trying to, cause chaos around, and they don't have any concrete evidence on what ground they are disputing the deal on. All their evidence are not based on fast checking. It's like hearsay. They are always on hearsay. We are worried about this, we are worried about that, but it's not on facts. It's not on their research to research and bring out the facts that this is what they've seen. All the states that they've seen this are all hearsay. They are all hearsay. though they are not building their evidence on what they research on and build on that to block the deal. But somehow, because people are being naive, thinking that the FTC cannot block the deal. The FTC can block the deal, but Microsoft don't want to prolong the deal. Microsoft don't want to prolong the deal because there's money involved, and the moment they keep prolonging it, Microsoft also loses money, and people don't realize that. So whatever the FTC are willing to build on, and the FTC too don't want to shorten the deal, they want to prolong the deal as well so that they can also get something out of it. Money coming in, flowing from other places to show that they are also working. But for people to pinpoint that this ground is strong against Microsoft from the FTC, it's not there. And from what I've seen from the leadership, I don't have confidence in their decision because their decision is losing a little bit of virtue in it. They are not
Mm.
honest with their take. So I'm a little bit confused there. So I cannot predict their decision on that. But the CNN and the UE, you know that these are people who are, you know, confused, but they are also trying to understand what is going on. You could hear from their statement, they are more open than what I've seen from the FTC. So for them, from that angle, I know the CMA and the EU would approve the deal, but the FTC, I don't know. So this is what I think. So from the ADK monopoly is not an issue. From there, I think Microsoft is all good in Europe.
And I have to agree with you because, um, you hear a lot of talk around monopolies and, with Microsoft, in their actions or, whether it's Sony or any other company out there, you definitely have to take a sit back and, open up your Webster dictionary, right?
Yeah,
And read the definition of a monopoly. And that's
yeah,
not what Microsoft is doing.
absolutely.
If they're trying to control, um, a certain commodity, it's that's not it. You know,
Yeah,
ABK deal is not considered a monopoly. Um,
at all.
I mean, some people may look at it different, and
Yeah,
uh, again, you just have to go back and read the definition of it of
definition,
monopoly so that you
absolutely.
can get a
And that,
clear understanding
yeah,
what it means. And what Microsoft is doing is no different than what Sony has done.
yeah,
They both have brought um, these some publishers. Microsoft has more studios than Sony,
yes, absolutely.
and when it comes to competing, especially in this market, in the gaming market, um, it's exactly what it is. You know,
Yeah,
whether you spend the money or you come up with new IPs, right? And in this case here, um, I gotta ask you
yes,
if Microsoft was to make, well, we heard the news in regard to Redfall, right? And
mm-hmm.
um, you have differences of opinions. Some people would say, well, Redfall was not, presented to PlayStation legally or whatever. For the I don't know who he is. I think he's what the manager. Um, I know he's part of leadership or whoever he was. I try my best to um, articulate as much as I can, but I've been very 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 busy, so I just get bits and pieces here and there. So with Redfall being in development for PlayStation, and then for whoever in Microsoft to come in and say, "Hey, no, we're gonna focus on Xbox, so we're not going to, um, put that or develop that game on PlayStation." So we're not there to hear, how that conversation went or what was really going on. We can only go by what, my man came out and said. So to each their own, how they, perceive that. So do you? So if Microsoft was to make Call of Duty exclusive at some point in time, okay,
Yeah.
would this come back to with everything that's happened so far? Because sometimes, I mean, in some of the interviews with Phil Spencer, you don't you don't really know what it is. Well, I guess I can only speak for myself, right? I don't really know what it is. Other people, could say, "Hey, this is what it is. It's dummy proof, right? It's dummy said. Anybody can understand what he said, right?" But sometimes, if you just take a step back and listen to it like several times, you're like, okay, what is he really saying here, right? So, um, do you, if Microsoft was to make Call of Duty exclusive, will that benefit them in the future, or will it not benefit them? It's as far as so let's say if they give Sony a 10-year deal, say here it is,
Yeah.
here's your 10-year deal. Now, what we're going to be watching for within that 10 years, right? How Call of Duty is going to perform on both sides. So it could be a genius move, right?
Yeah.
So Microsoft could say, hey, because they already know what it is. They know how Call of Duty performs. So why, again, why take it away from the platform, period, right? So, well, let me ask you this question: Do you think in the future Microsoft will make Call of Duty exclusive?
Yes, they will.
Do you think they can afford to make Call of Duty exclusive?
That is the big question because the their their thinking behind Call of Duty is going to change. The from the top of some devs, Call of Duty comes in every year. So from Microsoft's point of view, we gonna like reach out to the devs, ask them what is convenient for you, and from the dev's point of view, every year we are not putting out so much great this thing. For us to put out great Call of Duty, we have to have a time period that stretches beyond the 1 year. So like 2 to 3 years will be beneficial for us and for Microsoft. So what I think is Microsoft will manage the situation on for 10 years and likely plan for the next generation to come, but then position themselves, giving the devs much time to work on Call of Duty. By that time, they've taken their own, approach with what they are going to discuss with Sony. Because if Sony sees that within 10 years they are not getting anything out of it, they are not going to come back again because they are not benefiting from it anymore. So they will be like, no, this is not benefit from us. So let's find another partner who would be able. And from the purchase of Bungie, You probably think that that is the strategy, but mind you, Bungie is not, their capacity to compete in that department would be very difficult unless Sony is able to concentrate on them for a period of that 10 years and invest more on Bungie. Because Activision alone has about 3,000 plus workers, and compare Bungie, it had a couple of hundreds. A couple of hundreds. So for Sony to come in and say, hey, this is not benefiting from us, so we're not going to accept any further deal. We're going to look elsewhere. Then Microsoft comes in and say, hey, now we're going to give you the limitless time you want to build on it and make it perfect for our platform. And that, I think, that is the strategy Microsoft could use. But from there, people might have their preferential, taste, because 10 years is a long time. 10 years, somebody might be like, oh, Microsoft is good for us because their games are affordable. Maybe there are more studios. So I'm not looking at Call of Duty, but I'm looking at the future ahead of Microsoft. So they might shift into Microsoft, yeah, without the Call of Duty actually, bringing them on board. It's like the structure of Microsoft itself. It's like it's convenient for them to see that Microsoft investing on these studios. They have a huge studio. They are preparing on new IPs and other IPs that, bringing some classic out of their catalog. So we could, do this, do that. So it persuades gamers to follow suit and say, this is what is trending. Microsoft is trending. So we're gonna look to where it's trending. Everything that trends, people follow. So I think with that, they are going to have that kind of advantage in that regard. But for Sony, what Sony needs to do is ask themselves, within 10 years, what is Microsoft going to think? What are they thinking after 10 years? They should ask themselves that. What is Microsoft thinking? Will they be, trying to make a big change when the 10 years deal is out? Or they are going to bring something that is more, inclusive, more something that will be more, beneficial for both parties? If they start thinking that way, they might have a different approach to it and start preparing themselves for the future. And if they, as I said, if they are not looking into Bungie, then they should kind of prepare themselves and look elsewhere and find another, you know, developers who are actually good. Because 10 years, you might have, other developers coming out of Activision in their studios, going out elsewhere to build their own games. And history tells us that there are a lot of these devs who have moved on to do their own projects. So Sony can tap into this, these people and assure them that they are ready to work with them so that they can have, a very good friendship to the next future. And I think it will help if Sony strategize well. But if they don't think ahead of time and don't put anything in place, it's going to affect them in the near future. But for Microsoft, whether it they are not, I don't think they are whether it boils down to it being towards their decision or anything other than that. Because they've always been losing money anyway. They buy studios, it doesn't work out, they just push it aside. They always looking for profit because no matter how people shift it, they always looking for profit. You can't invest on billions and expect not to gain anything out of it. You know, they don't mind as long as the profit is coming. They are all for it. So that's what I think.
And I can understand Sony's position, in wanting to block this deal, because you have to understand something. Like you stated earlier, um, Call of Duty comes out pretty much yearly, right? There's
Yes.
I'm pretty sure there's like more than one Call of Duty is going to come out this year. And you think about the amount of money Call of Duty makes on an annual basis with everything. It's multiplayer, it's perks, it's DLCs, et cetera, et cetera. It's got to be in the billions annually. So I can definitely understand, why Sony is pressing for that. And I'm going to do a 180. And that's why, I was thinking, Microsoft can make its money back. Did I lose you? Are you still there? So, if you have one video game making that much money on an annual, yeah, I'm losing you. And yeah, so I was thinking, if you can have a game that makes that much money on an annual basis, that's insane. And one thing that I'm gonna do is do my research and look at Sony exclusives, first party titles, right, and see how much they make. And I don't even think, and you got to keep in mind, this is a third party title. So I don't think any of Sony's first party exclusives make that much. Not even not on an annual basis, because Call of Duty is one of those games that's continuous. I mean, people play that all year round, right? And then if any new DLC drops, right? Oh my goodness, we got to get the next best thing, right? So I can understand Sony's position on their focus on that one IP, and because it's just insane. So again, it could be a win-win for both platforms, and Sony can be like, you know what, we're gonna throw in the towel. However, before we do that, we're gonna come to the table and we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk business, right? So to be honest with you, Microsoft is going to have to provide the resources, and which they probably will, to make sure that Call of Duty still continue to stand the test of time. Because if that game comes out on an annual basis and it makes that much money, let's say $2 billion a year, they're gonna have to, because when people, well, I would say this, when I think Microsoft, I think operating system, right? So multiplayer is, you got to be online, right? You got to be online. With Game Pass, Microsoft can come out on top with this. Period. That one game out of that whole lineup, right? Call of Duty, that one game can do it all. So, it's going to be interesting. Again, what Sony's approach is going to be. So, We're just gonna have to wait and see. And
You
and
know,
it
Call of Duty is prepared for them, but you know, somehow Microsoft just don't know how to jinx their failures into me. I just don't know. You know, the 360 they were like ahead for a point, like a year or so, and suddenly Microsoft had this issue, red ring of death, and they have to spend big back. They have to spend the profit that they made.
so
And
okay. Well, do you,
what I'm saying is that if they don't mess it up, then
yes.
yes, they don't mess it up because it's like some of the faces I see, some of the faces I see, it's like they are some are like they are not like the OG Xbox who are very passionate and willing to do something. It's like most of them are more executives, like qualified, like they are qualified people, but they don't fit into Microsoft Xbox. That yeah, that's it. It's like they are qualified people, but they are not the right people for the job.
It exactly, and we talk about that a lot too, right? Having the right people at the table, making the right decisions. You have to have the right people with the right mindset, the right way of thinking. Hey,
Yeah.
if we go this route, this is what potentially could happen. If we go this route, you have to have those smart people there because all it takes is you make one wrong move, right, on the chessboard, your king is in jeopardy. Now, will Phil Spencer be around for a long time? Who knows, right? Who knows? There's already talk about, hey, well, maybe Jim Ryan needs to go, right? Maybe Phil Spencer needs to go. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see about that. So I do have one last question for you.
All right.
When it comes to Sony shooters, now Sony has a collection of shooters, and we both know that Call of Duty is annually, right? There's going to be Call of Duties, blah, 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 for the next, I don't know how many years, right? For Sony shooters, their IPs, do you think um, Sony can compete with Call of Duty? Any of their shooters, if they can bring back one shooter or two shooters, let's say SOCOM, right? Do you think Sony would have the resources to be able to compete with Call of Duty on an annual basis? Like
I think
because they're gonna have to have something there, right? They're gonna have to have something there to compete with that. We already know Battlefield is, well, that's not Sony's IP, but Battlefield is not that game, right? But if we think about Sony's IP like SOCOM, um, I want to say SOCOM is Sony's IP. How do you take that game and compete with Call of Duty? Because think about everything that comes with Call of Duty, right? Again, like I said, all the perks, all the DLCs, there's always, the seasons, Warzone, all that. Because, with Call of Duty, it's always something new, right? Or always something that keeps the gamer in the game, right? So can Sony compete with that? Does Sony have the moolah? Does Sony has the resources to compete? Because I could tell you right now, it seems like Microsoft has a endless reserve of money
yeah,
because there is a huge percentage. Well, I don't know how big the percentage is of the world that depends on Microsoft.
yeah.
So they could be getting that money from there. Like, okay, well, we can, because think about, I'm going a little too, I'm digressing a little bit, but think about Game
So,
Pass. Think about Game Pass, right?
yeah,
Think about day and date. Because I always question it. I'm like, how is Game Pass going to sustain itself, even with day and date? Because you have to pay these devs. That money has to come from somewhere,
somewhere.
right? Because I'm gonna give you my game to put in your subscription service. I got people to pay. They gotta feed their families, right?
Yes.
So what is in that contract? Like, okay, well, we give you this, and this, so that you could pay your people, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna 180 back. Does Sony can Sony compete with Call of Duty?
Wow.
Do you think they have
I,
it in
I
them?
think they do. I don't underestimate Sony at all. But the problem is the time. So I'm thinking like 2 decades,
Wow, 2 decades?
2 generations. Yes,
Wow.
2 generations. Because why am I
So
saying
you
that?
don't think 10 years is enough?
No, 10 years is not enough for them to.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can see
Because
that. I can see that
when
and understand.
when Call of Duty strike, it was in a certain time period, and that time period where the atmosphere of that war around and brought something that it was battlefield World War battlefield was like World War stuff, but they it's more like called Black Ops when you had that what was happening in Iraq and Afghanistan. In that mood, you could see that Call oh, I lost you there.
Yeah, yeah, you was going there for a second.
Hello?
I thought I lost you.
Yeah. So what I was saying that at that time you could see that there's something that is it's like that is the right time to bring Call of Duty, and that time was so perfect for it to you know explode because there were so many heroes floating around that time with the Iraq war, the Afghanistan war. It was all over the news. So Call of Duty was kind of like a hero calling game, and people liked that. So it became something that was it came at the right time. It came at the right time. So the timing was perfect for Call of Duty, and that made Call of Duty to build on that, and that building they built on that momentum to where it is now. So no matter what you do, Call of Duty will always be like a staple in people's, wish list every single time because it has been built on something that stuck with people. So if Sony is bringing out something to compete with Call of Duty, they have to get the timing right. They have to have something that is around the corner that will push it. So that is why I'm thinking like they have to build on something throughout 2 decades, like to get it right. If it doesn't come out right and the timing is not right, they will try, just like resistance and every, as you said, the timing didn't push. It wasn't like Sony didn't, push money into. They push money into it. People seems to forget it. They did push money because they believed that it was something that could compete in the in that space. So you could see the sort of money they put into it for Gorilla Games to do it, but it just didn't. You know, people were not. You know, one of the reasons the gunplay was not smooth, and we will talk. Oh, the graphics was so good. The graphics was great. But when that time people like to complain a lot. Uh, Something is not going. They just nitpick or something. Oh, the gunplay is worse. The controls are bad. If the timing is not good or great, whatever you put out there, you're not going to get it. And if you don't get it, then it doesn't start. And if it doesn't start, you cannot build a momentum from there and achieve something as great as Call of Duty. So I'm just seeing it as two generations, probably two generations they can, you know, master something out and have the timing right.
Here's my final thoughts on this.
Yeah,
When it comes to and I understand your position very clear with the two generations because some of these games takes a long time to make, right?
yes,
And these games takes a lot of resources, a lot of money to make, and you have to think about with these new generation consoles, man. You know, I can. I just want to be in a room with the devs, just to, hear them talk, and watch them, make these games, right? And I'm going to say this now that you mentioned the two generations, I think the 10 years is a slap in the face at this point,
yes,
right? Because, I mean, you will have to have the right caliber people, the right amount of money
yeah,
to sit down and even to think this out, right? You have to
right,
do so much research and development and ask the question, what made Call of Duty so great?
yes,
What is Call of Duty? What is it? What does it entail, right? And then how do we compete against that in that spectrum? So Microsoft has to show up because if they only stay at the 10 year, and I mean it's the audacity, right? The audacity for Microsoft to come out and say, "Oh, I mean, 10 years is enough time for you to come up with your own,"
that
right?
that itself wouldn't be fair on Sony because Sony, we all know Sony is not the stable house with first person shooter. So for them to say 10 years, it doesn't happen in 10 years. You know, even this game coming up, what's the name? This zombie game, uh, Dead Island 2.
Mm-hmm.
Dead Island 2. Dead Island 2 was announced. The game is like 12 years in the making, and it's 12 years, a decade and two, 12 years making a game. This is not even Call of Duty, but just imagine you announce the game around, you know, 2012, 2014, thereabout. Look at the time you are releasing your game. So much problem. You're gonna have rebooting, you're gonna have devs leaving, you're gonna have issues with all sorts of things. So 10 years wouldn't be fair on Sony at all. It's just Microsoft trying to be, show themselves that, yeah, we are in charge of Call of Duty. We decide what we, and all along, it could surprise you that Microsoft wants to put Game Pass on they are trying to tell Sony, oh, 10 years is enough. And Sony will be like, come back. No, 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 no. So what can we do? Oh, we are all for you. But, we can put it on, we can put Game Pass there as an app like Samsung or, like EA Play and put it in your, you know, platform.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not harmful. You are not competing. It's just, you just put it there. If people like it, they just put it there. It's just there. You don't have to be afraid of it. The moment they get that hold of PlayStation on that department, PlayStation is gone.
And I have to agree with you because um it just makes sense if they're able to pull that off, right?
Yeah,
Just like when they were trying to fight, with Apple, because Apple does its own thing, and
yes,
and but at the same time, Sony's gonna push back. Sony is a market giant.
yeah,
They're gonna push back. They're gonna like no, because if they have a huge market share and they don't like sharing, then I think they're going to continue um, to make it happen. Whether if the ABK deal goes through, they're still gonna find a way.
oh,
They're still gonna find a way.
yeah.
So don't.
I do believe that. I do believe that they will be, you know,
But Microsoft can use that as leverage. They can say
yeah,
they can say they can say, see, we brought the. I mean, we got the ABK deal, and Microsoft is still up. I mean, Sony is still up here.
yes,
So we're gonna go out after the next big thing, right?
yeah,
We're gonna buy up some more publishers. I mean, we're just all in here just to compete because I think Sony and Tencent are the two big giants right now. Uh,
yeah,
over Microsoft.
yes. Tencent is huge. Tencent is huge. People don't know what Tencent does, but people
But no one's talking
love
about
it.
no one's talking about them though. No one's like
It's like they
for,
are always in hiding, and their strategy makes
yes.
them more money. They are they are like ants. They
Okay.
are like ants.
All right. So I'm gonna go to the chat here. 420 has been with us the entire time.
Wow.
He's been with us the entire time. He says we're gonna go up here. He says um let me go up a little bit. Microsoft never innovates. They always emulate and try to take over. It happened over and over. Hold your thought there. Hold your thought there. don't don't respond yet. If they okay. Let me find my place here. Oh, I lost my place. Okay, that's why people say monopoly when Microsoft is concerned. If they bought it though, they have every right to make it exclusive. That's true. That's true. Spencer said he invested billions in games during Xbox One. He bought Minecraft. Uh, what did that benefit? It'll become Battlefield. So 420, are you saying that Call of Duty is on a path to become Battlefield if they make it exclusive? If Microsoft makes Call of Duty exclusive, it's gonna become a Battlefield. That would be insane. Now, and that's the reason why. That's the reason.
Stop it.
But that's the reason why I said Microsoft has to show up because if they make it exclusive, okay, and put a time stamp on it, and then once that expires, right, you have to invest. You have to put your energy because that game comes out yearly, right? So the quality of that game as technology continues to improve at whatever your next console is going to be. Also, with the whole online infrastructure, right? You have to keep that game relevant some way, somehow. Because if you start to lose with Call of Duty, guess what? You know what's gonna happen, right? It's that
Absolutely.
it's not gonna turn
Definitely.
it's not gonna turn into a pucking just yet. You know who they're gonna come to?
Cool.
They're gonna come to Sony. You're like, Sony, help! I need your help, Sony. We need your help. You know the boss is gonna come out to Sony. They're gonna like, well, we thought we could make it, but I don't doubt that Microsoft would not. I don't think they'll cut their people. I'm pretty sure they keep the same, developers, um, and it wouldn't make sense to, right, to fire anybody and be like, hey, we want to keep the same teams. We're gonna bring y'all in. Y'all gonna just let us know what you need, right? The resources, money, because if Call of Duty is the big focus right now, that's the only title in that lineup. That's the big focus right now. So Microsoft has to show up if they put a timestamp on it and say, "Hey, we're gonna make this exclusive," because they own it, right? They own it. So we're gonna make it exclusive, and if they continue to make Call of Duty better and better and better, right? That's gonna shape up the market. It's gonna shake it up. It's gonna shake it up because now PlayStation fans will be like, well, um, yeah, I'm gonna get Game Pass. You don't have to buy a console. I'm gonna get Game Pass.
It's true. It's true. And I concur with what you are saying. And if you don't keep your team, and you sort of like trying to change, like how they did with the creating a new studio with what's the name initiative. The direction they took. Microsoft don't have a culture. They seems to act naive, naive. You see, Sony would not pick any dev. I call these devs who go around moving from one place to another, scavengers. Excuse my word. They go, they go out from one place. Sony will not pick before Sony picks you. Sony will look through your profile, history, and everything. They are into detail in what they do. They pick. It's like when their studios need a sound engineer, sound artist, the graphics engine, something, narrative, everything. Sony, the studios have to request a position. Sony will go into the market and bring the person up. They, it's not like Microsoft will open a studio and just say, "Oh, it's off you. You are in charge. Do what you want to do because we trust you." No, because you know when you open a studio, you have to have a standard. You have to have regulations because people have different mentality. People have different mentality, and if somebody comes in, you are looking for the best, and you don't know their history. I always say, if you are a coach in football and you are picking players based on their talent and not also on their characteristics, when you build out a team,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to have a very friendly dressing room. You have players creating all sorts of problems for you.
Problems, yes.
So Microsoft are so naive in that department that they think that, oh, when we open up the door for the developers, these are people. These are people. These are human institutions. People have all sorts of characteristics. There are some people who cannot work and see that the work that they are supposed to do is not going according to plan. They will leave you behind. They will leave you behind. It's like you are wasting their time. They have set a target for themselves. They want to move along and go to the next and the next. And whatever you are doing, if you don't put your hand into it, it's when people are saying they are not interfering. Sony interferes, but they are not interfering fully. They are interfering by checking up and seeing they have a structure in place. So it's like, you know, there's Naughty Dog there, but they have their own people. Sony have their own people who know much about game development. They are there. They are from Japan. People don't know that. They are from Japan. So what Naughty Dogs informs them. So they informs them, they check what is going on, then they also takes this information and checks it and give it to the hierarchy and they say, no, yeah, we accept it. So everything has a step. So they go in bit by bit. They will come and check what is going on. This is what is going on. And if they are not happy, they might not be open about it, but their body language will suggest that they are not happy about the game. But Microsoft is like, oh, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good. We are happy with it, we are happy with it. And that is what always happens. I've seen the attitude of Mahmoudi. I've seen the attitude of, I don't want to mention names.
Right.
It's like, well, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good. It doesn't go through the fine grain because Microsoft don't have that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like, no, you do your thing because we trust you. No, you have a brand to protect. You have because you see is it 2020 they brought this. Well, the first time they showed Halo. When I saw the video, I was like, it wasn't about the NPC, it was about the ship passing through a tree. You could see that this is a video you have control over. It's a video you have control over, and you allow such video and you didn't watch, so nobody watched. And they approved this video to show on that platform. It's like nobody checked. Like everybody was blind. Oh, put it in there. They just showed a ship passing through a tree. For what reason? Because those who were supposed to check they are not in place. They don't tell, they have, you see, when you are doing yes, yes all the time, people will always relax. People will relax. If you have a child and you keep pampering the child will always lose his way. It's as simple as that. We are all human beings. So Sony is not naive in that department. That's why Sony will always be there. So for the studios, that's one thing. I'm not too sure about that though, but as 420 saying,
Oh man, you know, back to speaking of 420. I think he's still on. He says they can afford whatever. Yes, they can. Um, like Minecraft, like Fortnite for adults. That means they can cut half. They can't cut half the team and add someone in charge that don't understand games or development. You just talked about that. That's perfect. So calm. Bring back Zipper even. Are you crazy? Oh, that was funny. I tested one of PlayStation Live service games years ago. After playing, I asked them, "What are your plans to make me spend money? Is there a plan to sell skins or cosmetics, maps, etc.?" So I guess what microtransactions? Um, no answer to that for me. But that was like 6 to 8 years ago. Mag or SOCOM or even Warhawk done right. Now, but but think about Call of Duty real quick. Okay, what is the one mode that gamers play when it comes to Call of Duty? Multiplayer,
The
right?
campaign, the campaign.
He said the campaign.
Yes, you know the strategy of Call of Duty. The campaign captures you. When the campaign captures you,
but
you
but
are
but but plays the
you
most.
are into it. Yes, but if the campaign is not good, it will not allow people to play the multiplayer. So the moment the campaign is good and they see how much good the campaign is, it's like I want to play more because the campaign has ended. I want to play more. I want to play. Oh, we have multiplayer for you. It's the same as the campaign, and we have a lot of options you can play in too. So if a campaign is not as good as it's supposed to be, people will forget about it. Just like Battlefield. Look at the Battlefield. The campaign was so poor. Campaign was so poor, poorly done, and people were the moment they play, they forgot about coming back to play the multiplayer because the campaign wasn't good. So they captured you with a campaign. They give you some immersive with it. Then the moment you are immersed with it, you are like you need to play more of Call of Duty. They give you the multiplayer, and that's how they capture you.
There you guys go.
Yes.
Um, well, they said they had much to invest, making new first party studio for just that project Call of Duty competition like Killzone or Halo. Hmm. Now, Phil Spencer did come out and say that they're still going to be uh, making Halo games in the future, despite
Yeah,
all.
they said 10 years. He said 10 years. They're going to do Halo for 10 years. So they are going to do a DLC campaign
Mm, mm, mm.
and expand on the multiplayer as they go along for the period of 10 years, just like Sea of Thieves.
Oh, okay, okay,
So after that, I think they are going to sit on it and assess it because Halo will not be because they are buying studios. A lot of studios are coming up, so Halo would not be the the pace setter for Xbox anymore. Wouldn't.
okay. So,
Yeah.
man, that's wild. That's wild.
Yes.
But by you making that statement, um, now that I think about it, Call of Duty. It's no, really think about it though. Think about it. Is will Call of Duty replace Halo?
You have to put it on Twitter. You have to put it on Twitter.
Yeah, I gotta ask that out on Twitter. Will
Yeah.
Call of Duty replace Halo? Because Halo has been that game, right?
Yeah.
That's their top staple game now. It's
Yeah.
if I think there's going to be some controversy around that. I think
Absolutely.
the
I think so too.
yeah the diehard fan base is going to be like, hey, what's going on here? We've been playing Halo for years, right?
Yeah.
So for and I mean that will be a cause for concern, and here's why: because Microsoft does have some history, has a track record of letting games go or sit up on the shelf, or
Yes.
not their main top staple game, Halo. If they decide to, let's say, like what you said, 10 years, right? And then they sit back and assess it. But during that 10 years, they have Call of Duty.
Yes.
So would they come to the boardroom and say, well, Call of Duty's been bringing in
Much cash.
more
Yes.
more paper than Halo
Yes.
has done. So do we want to really invest in Halo? But that could be a scary thing too, because
and and
again,
and 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 and, and they can also infuse Call of Duty in the Halo universe with the Spartans, like the Spartans,
no.
and
So they're gonna put what's my man name? They're gonna put him in Call of Duty.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Man, they're gonna put Craig in Call of Duty. They're gonna put Master Chief in Call of Duty. Oh my goodness, that would be insane. So it'll be like an infusion, right?
Yes,
Wow. I man, that would be something, right? Because think of Fortnite. Every
yes.
character is coming in Fortnite.
Coming true.
I'm like, geez, man, they just put Leon. Did they put Ashley in Fortnite too? I think they did. I don't know.
I think yes, I think so.
So so what would
Oh
that
my God!
so what would that even look like, man? Master Chief in Call of
Wow,
Duty.
wow.
Crazy.
It's going to bring two universes together.
That could work. It
Yeah,
could, but you gotta it's
no,
gotta stick though.
if it was sunny, if it was sunny, handless such IPs like that, they're going to bring it all. But my fellow Xbox people who always seems to jinx something that is supposed to be a win. They can't. I don't know how. They just can't jinx it. They just can't like be consistent in something. They just when they did something right, the next thing you hear, they've overshadowed what they've done earlier. So it's like they have so many potential, but the execution to execute that potential into something is not there. That's my worry because
Mm.
with such huge sum of money coming from Microsoft pumping into Xbox, this is a lifetime opportunity because it took one individual who is Satya Nadella to believe in that. For Microsoft history since the OG, because the OG you had Bill Gates who was passionate about that, so he supported them. After that, the 360 they were not, they were in their own space. Xbox One they were also in their own space. But with this generation, they've been supported more than any generation of Xbox. But it seems that they are, you know, it's like they are climbing the tree. But the moment they trying to reach to the top of the tree, then I don't know, they just didn't hold the right branch or something. Or I just don't understand why. This 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 has been, you know, people are always forgetting that Hellblade 2. You know how Hellblade 2.
Mhm.
Everybody's raving about Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2, Hellblade 2 is going to be unique. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. You know, in games, if you don't play the game, seeing it is different from having it in your hand and playing it. If you see the game, you might be hyped though, but the moment you have your hands on it and you are playing it and you don't feel it, everything disappears. The beautiful graphics, well, the beautiful environment, the, the excitement disappears because you are not enjoying the game. People need to understand that.
Yeah, the game has to check all the boxes, especially with a game like this. The expectations are very high
Right.
with Hellblade 2. Um, no one saw it coming, right? I say that reluctantly because when I played the first Hellblade, I'm like, okay, it's just one of those games, right? Yeah, I like it. It works, but
The
I never would have thought.
Since you, I was able to beat it, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, I wasn't too into it, but when it got to the middle of it, and I was like, oh, I'm getting to understand the story. I'm getting to understand, and I built it up on that, and I begin to enjoy it more because it took me like 3 months to finish the game. 3 months because I wasn't too into it because of how the direction of the game it was not pulling me into that,
Right.
and I was like, no, I'm not feeling it. But after getting into the middle of it, something happened, and I was like, it grabs me into the game, and I begin to enjoy it more than the first time I played it. So I enjoyed it though. It was
Yeah, I have to agree with you too. I enjoyed the game for what it was. I felt that there I may have to revisit. I, from my my playthrough of it, I felt like there was some plot holes. I was trying to understand the story of it. Trying to take my focus off the graphics and the gameplay a little bit. It'd be like, okay, what is this game about, right? So I'm definitely gonna revisit it, and so that I can get a clear understanding of what to expect in the next game, because I do look forward to Hellblade 2. Um, One would ask me, why are you looking forward to Hellblade 2? It's not just based on the graphics. It's the gameplay.
no,
To me, was pretty good. I because I like those types of
oh
games.
yeah,
I like those types of games
yeah,
anyway because I'm a God of War gamer. So when I have those types of you know games in my hand, I'm gonna play it. And I'm a hard critic when it comes to video games. So just just to share with you right now, um, Resident Evil 4 remake. It's a beautiful game. I mean, it's miles ahead of the OG version of the game, but it still plays the same to me when I played it back then, right? Because I could, like I stated in my streams, this is one of those Resident Evil games that I have not beaten because I didn't like the game. Because I'm trying to understand now. Now that I see, um, have a better feel of the story where Leon, how he got into this whole ordeal. I didn't understand the storyline with the OG version of it. I'm like, I mean, you come from zombies to over the shoulder
yeah.
shooting. I'm like, I don't get it. But there's a lot of people, and I respect other people's, opinions. You know, they praise it. They praise it like it's the best thing um, since sliced bread, right? So now the expectation has been created for Hellblade 2, right?
Absolutely.
Now, even though the first game hasn't really done anything, to me, I don't think it's done anything. But we really haven't heard a lot from Hellblade 2. We only saw what, two trailers? Well, we saw some early gameplay, and then
And
we just
the recent epic showcase. But those things, I don't doubt about the graphics at all. I think the
yeah,
graphics will definitely be one of the best graphics
yeah,
you've ever seen in video game. When I was playing the first game, when I about to finish, I kind of like thought about how the story could have been brought up with this Hellblade 2, with a storyline. The reason why, you know, Senua is crazy is that her mother, who was accused of being a witch, had an affair with a god, a god. That is why she's from the one she's trying to, you know, get get used to the powers because the powers that is her in her is making her crazy. And they could have built a story like that into the Hellblade 2 to kind of like similar to God of War, but in a different take, you know, like be in that she's hunting the gods for what they have done to the mother and her, and that would have an immense, you know, a reason for her vengeance towards the gods. But now the story I'm getting is she's going after the gods. But what is the reason?
Hmm.
Because the first one did not show why she's going after Hela. It was told to us that it's all in the head as a mental, you know, a mental faculty was having issues, psychosis. So, and that you could be like, oh, it's mental health. But you have, you know, mythology alongside with it that you can also bring along in conjunction with his mental health. Just as I indicated, that she is having that mental health because the mother and the god slept together to bear her, brought her into the world without her knowing that her father was a god. So she has a reason to pursue those gods for the two. So after playing this, I had that idea in my mind. I was like, wow, this is a good story.
Hmm.
You could sell this story out there, the two, and bring something like God of War. You know, bring something out there for people to be immersed about. But man, I'm not seeing this one though. But well, we just have to hope and see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Um, that's one of the games. So, and I'm excited that Microsoft is allowing the time, allowing the time to because once you create that expectation, you have to show up. You can't let this one and also with Starfield. You talk
Yeah,
Starfield. You showed.
that is a game I want to play so badly.
I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna
That
play
game
it.
I want to play badly. I want to play that game badly. And after that, I think Fable will do.
You think it? You oh okay. So you have confidence in that game. That
Absolutely, I have
okay
confidence in that game.
okay.
Because of the people who are in charge.
Well,
You know,
we'll find out
people
here.
like that.
We'll find out more in June. Um,
Mhm.
when they do their showcase,
28. Yes, yes, yes.
and then the game comes out what September.
I'm not, I'm not too sure about that. It's too early.
I don't know, man. Hey, they said it was coming out September, so we'll see. We'll see because I mean a game of that magnitude, dude, you can't have but so many bugs, man. You can't because that I mean again going back to Halo, I haven't really heard anything on Halo. So what are you bringing out here, right? So you got Redfall that's in the pipeline. Now you have Starfield. Big.
That was like
That's a big one.
September.
That's a big
September.
one.
But
Eh,
that game is so huge. And the September itself, you know, this game is huge. When they are saying it's huge, it's true, it's huge. There's so much content in it. It's very huge. I'm not lying to you. From my observation, I see that this game is huge. When Bethesda, you know, anytime they want to do, when you check their games, when they are bringing in new IPs, they put everything into it. They put their all in it. But the game was supposed to release on 2021. That was Bethesda date. The game was supposed to come on, I think, September 2021, but they shifted to 2022. And that 2022, Microsoft saw, Xbox saw it, and people are saying whoever delayed it, it was delayed when they had their first interaction, when they first met. That's when they decided that they should
because
delay the game.
because you got to think about it. You got to think about it. When you advertising your next generation console, right? The gamers are looking at the next best thing.
Yes.
So you're saying that your console can do this, and this. So the expectation of your star games are to look immaculate. I think that is, um, man. I always have the words on the tip of my tongue, but I can't get it out. I think it's artificial thinking in a way for some gamers because it's like, dude, you can't. Even though the console can do 4K, 120, whatever, um, you can't expect all games to look freaking because these developers they sit down and they build these games, right? Their creative minds, their talent is only going to take them but so far based on what they can do, and that's what I think. These gamers they need to sit back and consider that, right? They need to start considering that and not going out. Oh well, this game looks like crap. This game looks like this, or this game looks like that. No, dude, these developers put their blood, sweat, and tears in these games, and it costs a lot of money to build these games. So sometimes I want to come out. I'm like, dude, then go build your game. Go build the game that you want and make it look like the way that you want it, right?
Yeah.
So I feel bad. No, I don't. No, I don't.
Bad.
I don't.
People, the way people. Starfield, people are looking into it like Starfield is supposed to compete with Horizon Forbidden West graphics and the world. And I'm like, no, do you know how huge this world is going to be? It's like you are comparing, when you when I first saw, I did it, I never owned PlayStation 5, so I was watching people's playthrough, and somebody was playing the game Ratchet and Clank, and he was raving about how huge the world was, how huge the world was, and he was flying with that creature, flying with that creature on him,
Mm-hmm.
and as he was going in, he was just raving around how the world is so huge. And the moment he pushed him, the creature just turned back. And I said, how huge is the world? The world is not huge. It's just an arena that they have expanded on it. But
Right.
when you are talking about fully open world game, you can't get it like Bethesda games. You can't get it like Bethesda games. So you don't expect a full open world game where dialogues, it's not like the NPCs are scripted. It's like there's a dialogue with every reaction through. The moment you have a dialogue, it's like the dialogue is is done in a way that is not scripted. So the NPCs are more free to behave the way you respond to them. And you don't have it in other open world games that is more immersed with graphics and everything. You see that the Bethesda dialogue when they are interacting with the PCs, the NPC can get mad, can get disappointed, can be happy with you. Which game, let's be honest, which game has PlayStation done in that free open world game like that before? Which game?
420, you want to answer that?
Yes, which game? Rising Forbidden West is not fully open world, and the dialogue is chosen. It's not. It's like the dialogue is cannot be compared. You know, Skyrim had uh, Skyrim dialogue. The last time I checked, if I'm mistaken, it's like uh, 70 something thousand.
Mm.
Fallout was like 100 and something thousand dialogue when I watched a video. Yeah, I think so. But how they do it is you see when you play Sony open world like for Forbidden West like this, you could see the interaction with the NPC. The moment you choose your character dialogue, the NPC knows what he has to say. But with Bethesda, whatever you say is more openly interactive. It's like you are having a conversation. And those NPCs, you can kick an NPC in Bethesda games. If you have played Morrowind before, Morrowind, or played, not Oblivion, Morrowind, Elder Scrolls Morrowind, have you played it? It was on the
Yeah.
Xbox original.
Mm-hmm.
Morrowind. It was like Zelda. When you see an NPC, you want to kick the NPC, and it's reacting to what you have done. But ask yourself, can you do it in Horizon Forbidden West or Ratchet and Clank? You can't do
I don't
that.
think you can, but
It's like with Bethesda games, you can virtually go everywhere you want to go. You can go everywhere. You know, with Forbidden West, if you've played the game, you could see that they've created the world in a pathway. You could see that when you are going somewhere, it's like the rocks, some rocks have been cut off like a pathway. So the design, they've done it creatively for you to think that it's open world, but how they've done it, it's just a narrow pathway for you. It's not you exposed to the world for you to be immersed in the world like that. And people do not realize these things just because it's open world. They see the world as huge as it is, but it is like a section of a section. You go into a section of a section in phases. You see, you move to the next phase. From they do it with the cutscenes. From Ratchet and Clank, the first story, you could see the moment he steps in, and Clank was stuck. It's a cutscene, so it brings you into phases, into phases, into phases. But it's not full open world where you are going. But with Bethesda, the cutscenes is like the same as you get. It's not a cutscene per se. You get the same thing. You see the cutscenes like NPCs, you are reacting the same thing. So the moment you finish with the cutscene, you are you are still there. You don't move from another phase. You cannot you move back after the cutscene.
oh, you talking about in Forbidden West?
No, Ratchet and Clank.
Oh no, I think Ratchet and Clank is more of a linear game than anything. I don't think it's meant to be a open world game like Morrowind or any of Bethesda's games.
Yeah.
So we
Those ones you have the graphics looking so beautiful.
yeah,
You
without
have
a doubt.
people. Yes, you're gonna have that as a beautiful, but the interaction is not immense as be. And for me, that's why I want to see. I don't want to see the same stuff. You know, we've been seeing the same reaction from NPCs from since 1995 up to now.
Yeah, but
That's
I don't think Ratchet and Clank was meant to be that type of game. You know,
but
they will have to
it,
build something. You know, they will have to build something to show us and say, hey, we're taking a new direction, right?
yeah,
Think about it. Think about the news that just came out for um, the Ninja Turtles, right? What are they gonna do with that game? So it's gonna be, it's I guess it's probably gonna be something like a God of War open world type game.
yeah, that's what I heard.
So what is that going to look like, right? Because you could say the same thing about the turtles. You're not going to have, there's no open world or anything like that. So, um, is it now? I don't know what this guy was talking about when he was like saying open world, or like he
Open
said he
world,
was just flying around.
yes.
I
So now they make it look like they add a fully open world. They have open world and fully open world. Now that's what they
r-
sometimes phrase it.
right,
So when
which
you hear open world, that means it's open world but not full open world.
right where an open world where you can pretty much touch everything and go pretty much anywhere within that game, and interact and have those interactions. So I'm pretty sure it takes uh, not just hours but days to incorporate coding and um,
Yeah,
all kinds of phrases and stuff like that to make sure that when you interact with the NPCs, they know how to respond to you. Like, hey, if you bump and get a NPC, they're like, hey, what are you doing, right?
what are you
Was
doing? Yeah,
wasn't that in um Watch Dogs? Was it Watch Dogs that I was playing? The last one, and it was a good direction because I was thinking, I was like, wow, man, if the NPCs can actually interact based on how or what you do, or or how you respond. I mean, because if you think of games like Grand Theft Auto, right?
yeah.
It's
There's
it's it's definitely coming along.
Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption, yes. Oh, beautiful game, man. I beat both, love both of them, and
Still haven't been in it. I'm just lost in the world. I just go around doing whatever I can do, just not playing the main story.
Red Dead
I'm
Redemption
not
is one of the
playing the main story.
best done made games of all time to me. Well,
That
part two is off the hook.
I wish I could see it in a very big screen, like no big, huge, and see the true, you know.
You don't have one?
Oh, oh,
Do they sell big screens where you're at?
oh, of course they do, but no, it's quite expensive.
How much do they cost over there?
Oh, unless I give you the site so that you can check yourself, but it depends, but he's huge. But I'm having my own there. I could show it to you now and see.
No, 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 no. It's good. It's good. No, just send me what you guys have. With the sizes, so I can have an idea. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, man. Looking at this big screen here, this Sony Bravia, man, these games looks amazing, man. I'm telling you, they look just because it's
That is when you're far away from it. I wanted to ask. Yeah. second I was like, what?
Yeah, because
It's just changing.
it's right here, but I don't want to be up too close because it's so big. I because I have to have like that, that peripheral because the TV is like right here, dude. It's like right here, so I have to back up and take a look at it.
Sunny crap, yeah.
Man, it's
Wow.
freaking gorgeous. I'm like,
But
wow.
is it able to play the PS5?
Oh yeah. Oh, well, this is not a PS5 TV though. This one is before the PS5 TV
Oh,
has come out. So I'm thinking about getting one, but I'm kind of hanging out in the background just to see what Sony comes out because I always pay attention to the CES to see what they come out with. Um,
wow.
but I am thinking about getting one. But
These TVs. These TVs. Is that what is that?
no, that's me. That's just a YouTube notification.
Oh, so I think people should be a little bit fair with Bethesda sometimes when the backs are fair.
Oh no, no,
But
no, no. Well, you're not going to hear the shenanigans from me because I play Bethesda's games.
I know 420 will be there with
Oh, 420 for
a little bit of jet.
and that's
Yeah,
good. And that's good. That's why I would love to have you both here on the podcast
yeah.
so I can sit in the background and like, let's get it.
I don't know why he's hiding. He's hiding. He's hiding. He's hiding for a little bit of jabs. So a little bit of jab from me.
But at the end of the day, it's all love, right? It's all love,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, of course, of course.
and
Oh, because at least it helps you entertain yourself. We can all be so it brings a little bit of bonding for us to
is
have such interaction.
exactly, and there's no love lost because it's crazy hearing these fanboys go back and forth,
It's not
and it,
coming.
it, it does it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me if you have
How?
if you have just an Xbox, but yet you talk crap about PlayStation, but don't have a PlayStation. What logic? I don't understand the logic behind that. You don't have a PlayStation. So how can you talk crap about a console that you
Something you
never
don't play.
played or you don't play? And it's for the other side too, right? You have a PlayStation, but you don't have an Xbox. So how can you say Game Pass sucks if you don't even have
You
the
know,
subscription service, right?
that is what I said to the last time. Is it yesterday? I said it is it is politics. Politics in gaming. Someone would be talking about a candidate or a president, but you've never even sit with the president, dine with the president. But here you have somebody telling somebody that this president is with all sorts of insults. You just don't understand why people are so attached to things that do not bring value in their lives. Because the moment you begin to do that, PlayStation is a giant in video games. PlayStation has worked himself up to where it is. It's not a joke at all because companies like Sega have tried. They, they couldn't maintain themselves. Nintendo just couldn't compete anymore. I know Atari want to come back, but Atari just couldn't come back
Yeah, they
with a bank.
yeah they did come out with a new console, didn't they? And then it just
But they didn't come up with a bank.
it just died out. Now 420 made a comment here. He said, Nintendo. He says Nintendo is going to finally bring a powerful console and blow everyone away. Man,
No, I don't see that coming.
I can't, dude. If I'm alive and well to see that, guess what? We're gonna be right back here on the podcast. I'm like, hey, Microsoft who? Sony who? Nintendo has strong on both of them. Let's go, baby.
No.
Like,
So
dude.
Nintendo have disappointed me a lot because I was like, as games development were going on with the graphics and everything, we're gonna like see Zelda, Mario in its glory with that beautiful graphics with the open world, and I was like, you are
But
going to switch.
but how do you do that though? How do you put Mario in an open world? I mean, yeah, you can put Mario in an open world and make it look graphically phenomenal. But does those graphics look the same as like Ratchet and Clank? Or what type of graphics are you referring to? Are you talking about like Hellblade?
I was referring to the graphics when he did the Mario 64. Mario 64
Okay.
changed everything because when when I saw this game and the comment that whenever you do something, the whenever you control Mario, you have certain comments he makes in Italian. Mamma mia!
Yeah, Mario 64 was that game, man. You
Yes,
know,
back then you don't have games doing such things, and you are so immersed in these things, and you're like very happy playing the game in that world. And you pick. Oh, you, I was like, as we are moving forward, we're going to see bigger things from there. And they went back to their own, you know,
I think
their own.
Nintendo just stuck with with what they
Mhm.
knew, right? And it has stood the test of time. Nintendo is still doing it big. With some of their IPs, and it's tailored to still to that audience. Um, is it big like Sony and Microsoft? No.
No,
Um, but they're still able to maintain. They're still able to sell consoles. They're still able to sell their IPs. They're
yeah,
making it happen. They still sold more than both Sony and PlayStation. So
yeah.
um, it's
Because
Mario, and plus we're going to the theaters to see Mario, so that's gonna be big. Come next month. So
yeah. So
um,
let's hope if 420 is having his wish. 420. If you are having your wish, let's hope that they bring another, you know, something not like Switch Pro, as people are speculating.
well,
And
there was an article that did come out, and there were talks about another console in the making. Um,
I mean
actually,
the Switch Pro,
um,
or is a different article.
I will have to look for it again because I know I posted it out on Twitter. And it was a while back. Um, but at the same time, um, the Switch is still selling. The Switch is still selling, and I think they're gonna milk it. They're gonna milk the Switch until it
Yeah,
starts to dip. And once it starts to dip enough, or if it goes down enough, then I'm pretty sure they're going to um, say, "Hey, we need to pick up the actual pace on this for this next console." Now, they're now they're getting outpaced because I mean, what else can you do? I mean, what is a PlayStation 5 Pro going to look like, right? What is a PlayStation 6? What is the Xbox the next Xbox going to look like, right? The technology, it technology continues to advance. Um, they always put it up against PC, right? And say, hey,
Yeah.
these consoles are starting to be PC like. So what is the next generation consoles going to look like? And then how's Nintendo going to compete? I mean, what is their next console going to be?
Mm.
Is it going to be a
I, I, I,
PlayStation 4?
I think Nintendo is going to start with family friendly
Yeah.
because they've seen that a lot of children are coming up. A lot of children are coming up. No matter what you do, children will keep coming up. Grown ups will still be grown ups, but children, there's a new faces of children coming up, but you don't see a new faces of grown ups. So it's like being good with family games with children will have a lot of more population because we have the IPs that connect with the children more than the you know I think I was playing the uh, Resident Evil 2 and my nephew came in and he was like, "This is a scary game." He, he couldn't breathe. He was having difficult breathing
Mm.
because of the scary nature of it. Yes. So I had to let him go out. He was so scared. I don't want him to have nightmares. So
Right. Right.
I thought, I thought he could, you know, watch the graphics about the game and to talk about it. But when he saw the pictures, he was like, no, he couldn't stand it. And such games, I could see that it will not appeal to him. It will not appeal to him, but like these family games, like Nintendo, would definitely appeal to him. So for them, I think PS5. I've been thinking about this. I believe the PS5 was a 2019 game console. I truly believe that it was supposed to come on 2019, but they saw certain things going on, so they have to re-strategize because Sony already when they get something, they can do it and do it good for people to see that no, we are the best in this. You know, the PS2 era. If you quite remember when they were trying to showcase to the world, they talk about something like motion engine.
Mm.
Motion engine. They showed it. It was shown on CNN and CNN. We watched it on CNN. It was an excerpt of it showing how this, this was like something huge. But when the PlayStation 2 came out, we didn't see the machine. The machine was over to the cloud. It just flew away to someplace else. Did you see the motion engine?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, those
I thought 420 would say something about it.
those
420 is 420.
those
420
was those were fun times. And that's why this is healthy, right? Um, because going back in time and because everyone has their opinion, I'm like, okay, all right, so
Yeah.
for he's probably still driving. Oh, I think we may have lost him because I don't
Oh,
see any viewers in account right now. So he did say, if he's in a certain spot, he may lose signal. Um,
oh,
he says I'll be driving through the boondocks, headed home from the in-laws, so I might cut out. Sending some love to all of you guys. Till next time. In case the stream is over by the time I get home, but he's responded
oh,
since then.
oh.
So let's go ahead and we're gonna cut it short here.
All right.
it was good talking with you, man. It's good to see you.
24 hours.
And let's do this. Let's continue doing this, and hopefully we can get 420 and some others in these conversations, man.
Yeah,
We got to get them in the
that would be
conversations.
lovely. I think if we get such interaction going on, it's going to help the channel as well. So that will be very, very good for the channel if 420 and the others will want to participate. And I think they should honor the challenge and come on board and let's have a little bit banter about the state of gaming so that have a healthy conversation as we move along. So I thank you for this opportunity and I'm always grateful to you and I always want you to stay blessed as always.
And you too. Stay blessed, you and your family. Stay safe,
Thank you.
and let's just continue this. Having these conversations, and sometimes you just have to get away from the world a little bit, leave it behind, and and talk positive things, right? Put ourselves in a positive space and leave all the negativity behind. It's gonna be there, but sometimes you just need a breath of fresh air.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And please kindly tell the missus I wish her a happy birthday
Will do.
and the family as well.
Will do. And say hey to the family as well. And hopefully we'll get a chance to see them again. Poke their heads in the camera. All right, my man. Well, again,
Yes.
great conversation. ABK deal's gonna go through, and we definitely, once it does go through, let's get back on here and have another conversation.
I'm gonna pop the champagne.
All right, my man. Well, you have a good one, and
You too. Thank you. Stay blessed.
you too.
Bye. Peace.
Peace.